Okay, breaking news we continue to follow this morning. For the first time in more than 3 decades, a Liberal stronghold in Toronto has turned blue. With all polls now reporting Conservative Dawn Stewart has won the riding of Toronto St. Paul's by 590 votes, just shy of 600. That was over Liberal candidate Leslie Church. So here to break down what this means and what happens next is the Globe and Mail's Laura Stone. Good morning.
Good morning, Anne-Marie.
Okay, let's jump right into it. What is the significance of this loss, both for the Liberals and the Conservatives? A blue break in Metro Toronto? Is this a crack in the dam?
This is a massive loss for the Liberal government. And I think even the federal Conservatives are surprised by this. They were making the rounds last night, the Tories saying they didn't expect to win this. They were pumping up as this seat as a safe Liberal stronghold and really downplaying expectations. And I think that was genuine. I think the Tories thought that they were going to close the margin here and that this would spell opportunity for other seats in the Greater Toronto area. But honestly, Anne-Marie, I think they were shocked to win this one. And this is stunning for a number of reasons. One, as you mentioned, the Liberals have held this riding for so long, 30 years, and 25 of those held by one MP, Carolyn Bennett, who stepped down. But I think the issue here is it opens up a lot of more seats for the Conservatives in the next election. They're now going to be targeting some ridings that were much closer in the last election that are in the Greater Toronto area that are necessary for a victory and a majority government. The Tories are now going to be setting their sights on those. So it really spells trouble here for the Liberals in the next general election. And it also obviously opens questions up about Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's future and whether he chooses to continue leading the Liberals into that next election, as he says he's going to.
All right, let's follow that questioning. We talked a lot yesterday about how important these by-election results could be for leadership for Trudeau. Now that the votes are in, the Liberals have lost. What's the next step? I know it's almost July, but does he take, like his father, a walk in the snow and then step down?
Maybe a walk on the beach, Anne-Marie. Look, I think it kind of depends how Liberals themselves react, right? I mean, we're going to probably see the fallout today and over the next few weeks from Liberal MPs, again, who are in some of those ridings in Toronto, in BC, for instance, who might be now worried about their own futures and whether there's kind of an uprising amongst them to try to push Trudeau out. I think the issue here has always been there doesn't seem to be any real organization from other Liberal leadership contenders. There's not kind of an heir apparent waiting in the wings to take over. But does this spell trouble in the Liberal ranks? Are we going to hear more people from within caucus, more high-profile Liberals, talk about replacing Justin Trudeau? So I don't think it's necessarily inevitable that he steps down, but I think he's certainly going to be facing a lot more questions about his future today.
Yeah, and do those voices get louder? That we'll have to wait and see. Let's look the other side of the coin. What about Pierre Poilievre? What does the win mean for him and the Conservative strategy as they head into an election year?
Look, I think he's probably waking up today very pleasantly surprised by this news. There was sort of a theory floating around in political circles, Anne-Marie, that the Tories didn't actually want to win this riding because they want to go up against Justin Trudeau in the next election, and they didn't want this to potentially spur his stepping down. But I think, I think the Tories now see the opportunity in so many ridings in the next election. It's wide open to them. And I think, we've been seeing in the polls how much they've been leading by in the country and in Ontario particularly. So I think, the Tories are probably feeling very bolstered by this news and very optimistic about the prospect of a potential majority Conservative government in the next election.
I want to ask you a little bit more about that train of thought, because I think for a lot of people, it's a big conversation among political experts like yourself, but I think for Canadians who are learning this news this morning, that idea that the Conservatives may have wanted Trudeau to stay on. Right now they're enjoying about a 20-point advantage, but does that F Trudeau momentum continue if there's no Trudeau at the helm?
Well, exactly. I mean, right, like the Conservatives have now operated over the past year, having a lot of success going up, contrasting Pierre Poilievre and going up against Justin Trudeau himself. Do they lose some of that momentum if Trudeau were to step down and if someone else were to fill his void? I mean, the issue here is time. We know the next election has to be by October of next year. It might be even earlier, depending on if the NDP decides to pull the plug on their agreement. So, that could hurt the Tories a bit if they were up against someone else, although it takes time for the public to get to know a new leader. I certainly think that, the Liberal voters in this particular by-election were not as motivated as they have been in the past. Would they be more motivated in a general election facing that prospect of a majority Conservative government? They knew no matter what the results were from the by-election last night that Justin Trudeau would still be prime minister today, or the Liberals would still be in government. And so I think a lot of people are still a little concerned about what a Pierre Poilievre government would look like. I talked to people who said they aren't quite sure about what his policies are, what he stands for. So that could change as we go through a general campaign and there's more discussion of what the government's issues would be after the next campaign.
Right, and that's what we always look at, especially closer to election time. Excuse me, is this a vote for somebody or a vote against somebody else? That'll, yes, we'll have to wait to see.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of people are just talking about the need for change or feeling like while there were Liberals, they couldn't support Justin Trudeau anymore. So was this sort of that first test of people kind of dipping their toes in the water of choosing a Conservative without kind of making that full commitment of a Conservative government?
Right.
We'll see about that in the next campaign. But I think certainly the message was one of dissatisfaction with the current Liberal government and certainly with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
Laura Stone, good to talk to you this morning. And thanks again for joining us live yesterday with Lindsay.
Oh, it's fun. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.